Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let me know if you're hearing me. This is Bill Bullock, and I've missed you for a few weeks. I'm back. The flesh may be weak, the voice may be weak, but the spirit is very willing. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. May I say 1,000 times, it is such a joy to share this Sabbath with you, to embrace the presence. Lecha dodi nikrakala. Panei Shabbat Nekabalat. Let us welcome the presence and the face of the Sabbath together. This is the week of Parsha Vayashev, and it is the ninth of the 12 weeks of Genesis, of Bereshit, the Sefer. And the Holy One has so many things to tell us as he transitions us from this phase to another phase. I'm going to ask anyone who's watching who would be faithful enough to let me know, since I'm not good at this technology thing and someone usually handles all this for me. If you would let me know, is this indeed broadcasting? Is anyone there and receiving it? And can you hear my voice if that's the case? And can you see my face? If you just let me know, drop me a line quickly. I welcome all who come. Wish we could be together at the Biblical Lifestyle Center or in your home or mine, and then we could share the Sabbath in each other's presence. But what we do have is this technology, assuming it's working. And this technology will help us to be able to communicate and draw that which we're called to draw from the unseen realm, the realm of the Hashemayim, as it's called in the English Bibles, the heavens, that we may draw things from that holy realm, from that unseen realm, and bring those holy things into our world today and be able to use and implement those tools of the heavenly realm, of the unseen realm, of the realm of faith, of the realm of emunah, as it's called in Hebrew, this flowing river of life that comes from above, that nestles us, that cradles us, that carries us along through this world. It becomes our amniotic sac. And the words then of the Holy One that he speaks, that he has caused to be written down to us, become as were our umbilical cord. And these are the sources of our life. So welcome to you, and thank you for joining us. If you have joined today, if you are a part of this broadcast, just drop a little note. Let us know who you are, where you are from, and any comment, any question, anything you wish to say. It is so good to be with you again in this format. I look forward to the time when we can be together again in person. So let's talk a little. It will be shorter today. My voice is weak. My flesh is still weak from the, I call it the pathogen, the pestilence. But we are overcoming. And the praise of the Holy One, there is beyond the veil, reaching and flowing into this realm, there is a healer, and there is a healing, and there is health, and there is strength, and there is revitalization, and there is repurposing and recentering. And those are all words that mean very much to me right now in light of what has occurred in my life. But I hope they mean something to you, and they will begin to mean more and more to you as we refocus and we recenter and we repower. We power back up as the holiness realm comes in. Parsha Vayashev. Well, it's the ninth Parsha of Torah, and what that means to me is that we are ending the major narrative of Parsha of Sefer Bereshit, according to the chiasmic structure, the beautiful design of the Torah. Each individual book is a chiasmic structure. It is a reversing symbolism, reversing parallelism. As inverse parallelism, as it may be called by some people. But the idea is that what the Holy One does in each book of Torah, each of these precious gifts that he gives to us, each Sefer of Torah that he gives to us, he has set up the first two or maybe three, usually it's two, parshas, sections of this Torah that are very introductory. They are essential introductions to know what the story is going to be all about. And then between Parsha, usually 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, These are the main essence of the story. Parshas, and so we're now at Parsha 9. So that tells you we are at the end of the wave, the end of the big chiasmic wave that comes forth, the ebb and the flow. And so we're going to hit the bottom, so to speak, with Yosef. This week. We will hit the bottom in many ways. I believe we live in the times according to the sages. And by living in the times, what that means is that the things that are mentioned in the Torah portion of the week are things that relive themselves in our lives and that we step into, like we step into a garment each year. We step into this Parsha Vayashev garment this time of the year. It's like the beautiful coat of many colors, as it's called, the ketonet pasim, as it's called in Hebrew. This garment that we put on, and this is the garment of Vayashev, and we wear it for a week, and then we take it off, and we put on another garment next week, the garment of Miketz, and the end of days, at the end, the beginning. And so this is the second part. We have the introductory essentials of the first two parshas of the Sefer. Then we have 6 or 7 of, or maybe more in some cases, of parshas that are the real story. And they unfold, they start slow, they move up like a wave, they reach a crest, and they begin to come back down, and they follow the same pattern down that they followed up. And so that is where we are at Parsha 9. Then we have the end of the literary sequence is the prophetic announcements of the last 2 or 3 parshas of each Sefer. And we have 3 in this. In Genesis, we have Miketz, Vayagash, and Vayeki, and these 3 parshas will give us the prophetic vision of the end of days. Wow. Each book does the same thing. Each book goes through this process. So here we are at the very bottom, the end, the trough of the wave of this grand story of the patriarchal narratives. Each of the stories has embedded within it a drash on life, on how covenant men and women and children are to approach life and how we are to learn the lessons of our forefathers, and by what they did right and what they did wrong, and how they encountered the Holy One, how the Holy One disciplined, how the Holy One guided, how the Holy One blessed, how the Holy One and sometimes chastised our forefathers and our foremothers, as the case may be, in such a way as to bring about his plan for the redemption of mankind as a species, bloodline by bloodline and household by household. But his plan is also for the restoration of creation, square inch by square inch, meter by meter throughout the world, hillside and valley, ocean and mountaintop, and everything and every continent in between. This is his grand plan, and this is his story. So we come to Vayashev. We come to this place where the issue is, where are we now? Vayashev means, and he dwelt, or and he pitched tent, or and he turned in, as it were, turning in for a while, just tuning out of what was going on in the world and tuning in to his family and to his life. This is when you go home. Yaakov is the main character that we start with, and Yaakov is home. But he's home a wounded man. He's carrying what I refer to often as exile slime. He's been in the slime daily, bombardments of exile slime in Laban's house, and then in Shechem, where his family participated in the exile slime itself and became a stench in the land. Well, we are coming, and he's coming, but he's trying to find a place of rest. He's trying to find a place. Yaakov is trying to find a place where he can be comfortable. And what the Holy One's about to say is, you can never be comfortable in this world. In this world, you will have tribulation, as Yeshua, the Messiah, taught us so well. So the tribulation is coming unto Yaakov. It's Yaakov's time of Yaakov's trouble. He thought he had trouble in exile. He thought he had trouble in Laban's house. He thought he had trouble in Shechem. He thought he had trouble in so many places. But here's the situation. Trouble is how the community of the redeemed manifests its glory, manifests its connection with the creator of the universe. Trouble, tribulation. We are not promised a rose garden. As a matter of fact, that would be the exact opposite of what he wants us to have. He wants us to be overcomers. He wants us to be powerful in his spirit. He wants us to have constant access to the heavenly realms and the beautiful, powerful things of the heavenly realms and how they impact the earth. He establishes portals where we can. These are physical places in some regard, like Mount Moriah or the tomb of Machpelah. Also Be'el, the place where the vision took place of the ladder going, or the staircase going from heaven to earth that Yaakov saw in his youth before he went into Laban's house. There are so many portals in the physical realm, but there are more than that. We become the portals ourselves as we lean into the amniotic fluid of the Holy Spirit. And as we connect ourselves and draw strength and wisdom and knowledge and information and guidance through the umbilical cord of the words of the Torah. As these things happen, we become the portals through which heaven and earth touch, through which the things of beyond the realm of the veil can come into our world and change our world and bring about this grand redemption and bring about this grand restoration that the Holy One has in mind for us. Well, we don't have much time, and I don't have much strength, but I want to talk about this week. Excuse me. I want to talk about this week from the standpoint of introducing Yosef. Yosef. The name means he will gather, or he will add. It's like he has a tablet in his hand, and he continues to put things together. Like a mathematician or a statistician or some sort of a bookkeeper, a bean counter, as some call them. But he's adding things. He's always seeing how things relate to one another and putting things together that need to be put together and taking things apart that need to be apart. Yosef, he will add, he will gather, he will subtract, he will increase. He will bring about this grand increase. He will, the idea that I want to commit to you is that Joseph's purpose was to draw down excessive amounts of things from the unseen realm of the Kadosh, of the Hashemayim, of the holy realm of the heavens, and draw it into this earth, and to keep adding one thing after another, one event after another, one viewpoint after another, into the earthly realm of a human being, of a fleshly human being, a mortal soul, that can show that he becomes more of a neshama, more of an eternal spirit, than he is a nephesh, a mortal soul. Now that is the purpose of Yosef. Can we introduce Yosef? Well, who is he? He is the intimate confidant of the Father. The Father loves him. The Father adores him. Now, I'm talking in the natural realm about Yosef, or about Yaakov and Yosef, but I'm talking about Messiah and all of those who join in Messiah and are become one with the Holy One through Messiah as well, and with the Father of the heavens, the one that Yeshua called my Father, and he called on us to call our Father who is in heaven. This is the intimate confidant, the infinite associate, the infinite relationship with the Father. That is the key factor of Yosef. And without that, the adding can't take place. The gathering, the increase, the drawing down of the holy things cannot take place without the intimate confidence relationship with the Father. Well, the second thing that Yosef is, he is the dreamer of grand prophetic dreams. The dreamers are the dreams of the Holy One himself. The Holy One himself has a vision. He is not just responding to events on the earth. He's not responding to world governments or to world economic systems. He's not responding to those things. What the Holy One is doing is orchestrating a grand symphony, a grand opera, as some might want to call it in that process. He has a plan. He has a strategy. And he reveals those plans as need be on a need-to-know basis to those who he can trust, who has the intimate, confidant relationship with. Well, Yosef is the picture, as is Messiah. Yosef and Messiah are indivisible. You can't understand Messiah or anything he did unless you understand Yosef, because Yosef was the pattern. Even the things like the dibara, the negative the speech, the negative direction, negative report, as it may say, bad report or negative report, it's said in English. Dibara, or dibahara, of the evil. That he gave his brothers, particularly his half brothers of the two bondswomen. It says that Yosef made a bad report. Now do you understand? This had to happen in Yeshua's life. He had to give a bad report regarding the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Didn't mean he hated them. Didn't mean they were no longer his brothers. Did not mean there was judgment involved in this process. It meant that he was following the pattern of the Messianic prototype. And the Messianic prototype being Yosef. He said, understand that these things are designed to heal as Joseph's rebukes were designed to heal. These things were designed for the wholeness of the family, for the integrity of the entire covenant family, not for some personal vendetta or sense of outrage or sense of superiority over someone else. The dibara of Messiah toward the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the others who were of that day. If there was a dibara given at all, it was not a matter of a personal animosity or rebuke. It was a brotherly act of love. Now, if we understand that, there will be times to understand we will need to be rebuked. We need to be told what we're doing that is inconsistent with the plan. Well, I've gone beyond the idea of the intimate confidence of the Father and the dreamer of prophetic dreams. The vision of God is to see beyond the present situation in people's sin and to see how this is harming the world, how what they are doing is damaging and slowing down, hindering the process of heavenly plans coming to earth. Well, so that's the dreamer of prophetic dreams aspect of things. But Joseph is more. He is the servant of the nations. If you don't think of yourself as a servant, if you do not think of yourself as a servant, you cannot flow in the plan of God. If you think of yourself as being owed a service, owed respect, owed honor, owed some sort of compensation, owed some sort of sense of superiority over someone else, particularly of the nations, of the weakest, of the broken, of the most distracted, of the most separated from the Holy One. If you feel yourself not a servant to them, but some sort of a master over them, then you miss the point of the messianic call. You miss Joseph's call. You miss why he was here. He was here to bring about a great reconciliation and the great healing of the nations. Now, his purpose was done in a period and a segment of time that gives us an imagery of the latter days. Ah, yes, the latter days. Well, there's one other thing that he is, beyond being an infinite confidant of the Father, the dreamer of prophetic dreams, the servant of the nations. He's also the Lord of the great worldwide harvest, a harvest of souls, a harvest of nations, a harvest of hearts, a harvest of lives, not in the sense of vengeance and judgment, in the sense of restoration to Edenic bliss, to the chance for a new 1,000-year reign, a messianic kingdom in this world, on this earth, before the Olam Haba and the time to come. Well, the certain things I need to know. I don't see anybody telling me I'm here, so I hope that I am. But if I'm not, then so be it. We'll see this another time. But I want to say one more thing. I want to talk one more thing about the things that make Joseph Joseph. What makes Joseph tick? Because if we know what makes Joseph tick, we will also understand what makes Yeshua tick. And we can also understand whenever we are in him and we are connected to the umbilical cord of the words and we are in the amniotic fluid of the Holy Spirit, what makes us tick as well. The first of factors that, there's no formula. This is a foundation of factors that combine to make Yosef tick, to make Yeshua tick, to make you and I tick, as the case may be, in the covenant plan. First of all is what is called in English the fear of God, fear of the Lord, fear of our Creator, the reverence, the sense of consciousness that he exists, that he lives, that he is with us, that he is all around us, that he is doing good at all times, that he only does good, that he does nothing that is not good. Though it may seem not good, though it may feel not good, though in the moment it is not what we would consider in any ways good, and all times he is working all things together for good for those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. He is always working his grand redemptive and restorative plan in the world, in every moment, in every sickness, in every situation, in every trauma. Because out of every trauma comes redemption and the possibility of restoration of the world. Out of every drama, out of every anger, out of every Holocaust come the seeds of the rebuilding of the nation, of the covenant nation. Well, so the fear of the Creator is the first thing. You know, the psalmist David was so clear to say, the fear of the Holy One is the beginning of all knowledge, of all wisdom. Well, Solomon picked that up and he made a whole book, Mishlei, the Proverbs, about this. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. I want you to see it in Joseph's life in this way. when Mrs. Potiphar, Mrs. P as I call her, when Mrs. P, and this is what happens in exile, even the women, the men, the children, they become so distracted by physical, fleshly things and appetites and urges within their own bodies, and the sense of power and control that we should do whatever we want to do. This is what happens in exile. This is part of your exile slime. Well, Mrs. P had exile slime all over her, and Mrs. P was so convinced that the flesh was what she needed to pursue. And she pursued a flesh relationship with Joseph, this young man who was the confidant of the Father and the Lord of the harvest of the nations. Well, she decided to have, and so she tries to induce him and seduce him into a relationship, into an intimate a bond. Well, he says, how can I do this? Great wickedness and sin against God, even in bondage, even sold into slavery, in the house of a foreign master with foreign tongue, foreign language, with no fear of God in the house. He maintained fear of God. He maintained the fear, the reverence, the understanding of the good God consciousness, that it's more important to do what God wills. That it's more important to be in line with his plan than it is to even live, to even have a breath of life. This is fear of the Lord, and this is the first factor. This is the first of the factors of making us tick. If you lose the fear of the Lord, if you begin to fear other things or revere or honor other things or other people or other organizations or other institutions, be they religious, be they scientific, be they medical, be they economic, be they political, be they ideological, be anything in this world, if they are primarily of this world, and this is where your fear, your reverence, and your respect and your honor goes, if this is where your devotion lies, then you will not tick in accordance with the kingdom. It is whenever the most important thing in the world is the Holy One and his will and his honor that is done. That will change everything about your life. That will change everything about your world. That will change your impact upon your world. The second thing about Joseph and what makes Joseph tick is what I call, I've said it many times, the witness factor. It comes from the fear of the Holy One. If you know that he's there, if you keep your focus on the fact that he is with you at all times, then you understand the witness flows out of that knowledge. You begin to engage with that witness. It's a word I think I've coined. I don't know anyone else who've said it. The idea that he is with us. Emmanuel, as it said other places. He is with us. Well, if he is with us, then how do we respond to that witness? How do we respond? This is where Joseph excelled. He learned how to respond to the witness, to move and flow with the witness of his Creator, of his Father. He learned, even though he didn't have all the things that anybody else in the religious world that we might think we might have, he was able to flow in these things, and he stayed to flow. Well, how is your witness factor? Well, I should first ask you. Let's do a gut check. Let's do a spirit check. How is your fear of the Holy One? Are you ready for the things to come? You will not be ready for the things to come unless your fear of the Holy One exceeds your fear of governments, of mandates, of armies, of public opprobrium, where they dislike you and mock you. Unless your fear of the Holy One, your reverence for him, and your honor of his name and his will exceeds those things, then you will collapse under the pressure. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for any of the people of the covenant. I don't want that for anyone in this world. I want you to return. Return, my beloved. Return, dear ones, to the fear of the Holy One, to the understanding of his presence, his constant presence. And I want you to learn to respond. So how is your response? If you can even remember that he is always present and he is always working and he is always doing good, how are you responding to that? How is your response level to the witness of the Holy One? Are you flowing productively, fruitfully, powerfully in shalom in the witness of the Holy One and responding to that witness? Another third thing, the humble servant factor. I've mentioned this before, but when you flow out of the witness factor, responding to the witness of the Holy One, and realizing his plan is always for good, long-term, short-term, his plan is always for good, then we participate. We're not here to be served. We're not here to be honored. We're not here to be respected. We're not here to be considered to be great or spiritual. We're not here to wear long tzitzis and show off our spirituality. We are here instead to serve. And that was what Joseph did so well. That is what Yeshua has done so well and continues to do and will continue to do. He will serve his Father. He will serve the nation of Israel. He will serve the nations of the world. He will serve individually, households, and families. And that is our mission as well. Never forget you're strongest when you are a servant. Finally, the last thing I would reference is that as we walk in the fear of the Lord, as Joseph did, as we do, as we flow in the witness factor and out of the witness factor, as we enter into the sense of humble service, that we are here just as having an opportunity to serve other people and to bless other cultures and to bring them into the wisdom and the kindness and the chesed, the love, the compassion of the Holy One and his kingdom. As we realize this, the final thing that breaks forth in us is around us, overtaking us without our doing anything to deserve it. There is a blessedness of the ecosystem. The Holy One pours out his blessing. Where does he pour out his blessing? Upon the humble servants. Not because not because he's rewarding them for their humble service, because that is the way the kingdom works. Humble service in the fear of the Holy One, acknowledging and responding and flowing with the witness of the Holy One, means that the ecosystem flourishes. I'll end with Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. These are the three patterns of the world that take you into exile slime. Blessed is the one who does not do those things, but his delight is in the Torah, the umbilical cord of the Holy One. He draws his energy from that. And in his Torah, he meditates day and night. This is flowing in the witness of God. This is taking on the bonds of the humble servant. This is flowing in the way in which we were made to tick. So may you tick as Joseph ticked. May you tick as Yeshua ticked. And may through his empowering Holy Spirit and the umbilical cord of the Torah, may you bring about a great harvest and a great redemption in your sphere of influence. Shabbat Shalom. See you next week.